We are so excited because we have this month's Read with Jenna pick, The Life Cycle of the Common Octopus.
It's the debut novel from author Emma Wright, and we're going to chat right now with Emma in just a minute.
But first, y'all, let's go inside her book. Penn has traveled halfway across the world to begin her first semester of college at the University of Edinburgh. But instead of leaving her family's past behind, she's running towards it, desperate to uncover a decades-long secret she's certain led to the demise of her parents' marriage. Emma Knight's debut novel, The Life Cycle of the Common Octopus, is a coming-of-age story about loyal friendship, unexpected love, and the many paths to motherhood. We're so happy because Emma Knight joins us along with the NYC Book Club. Thank y'all for being here. You all love this book, yeah? Yes. Okay, so Emma, congratulations, New York Times bestseller, your first book. Tell me how this all came to be. How did you start writing this book?
Well, thank you for having me, Jenna.
Yes, thank you.
I started writing, I've always wanted to write fiction, but I didn't have the guts for a long time to commit to writing a novel. I didn't know if I had it in me. And when so I have two daughters, Ezzy and Frida. Ezzy's now 7, but when she was starting to talk, she would watch me working from home and say, what kind of job do you have? What kind of job should I have? And I remember telling her, you should do something that you always will want to get better at and something that makes you feel like you.
Yeah.
And when I sat with that, I thought, that's not really what I'm doing, not yet.
Yeah.
And then when my second daughter, Frida, was born, there were some postpartum complications and I was in the hospital for a while. And it jolted me. It was scary. And I realized you only get the one life. And if I'm going to show these two girls that they can do anything that inspires them, then I've got to do it myself.
Oh, I want to cry.
I know, it's so good. The main character, Penn, is a late bloomer. Why did you decide to go that route?
Well, I don't know any late bloomers myself.
We're all still blooming.
We're all still blooming. I'm throwing out secrets of my life. It's all still happening.
I was interested in a character who lives more in her head than in her body, and who, if you think of the concept of the life cycle, sure, at 18 you've reached physical maturity, but not intellectual or emotional maturity. And without those other two, the first part can be hard to figure out. And so here's Penn, who feels that there are certain things that she should already know how to do or understand, but she is aware of a disconnect.
Yeah.
And because she's lived in books for a lot of her life, and she's a big reader, and she's kind of hidden behind her thoughts to avoid experiencing things physically, like her friend Alice, who's much bolder. I was interested in that contrast and in a character kind of coming into herself.
I'm obsessed with late coming-of-age stories, so it's one of the things. And by the way, there is no octopus in this book. We just need to go ahead and state that, because I have chosen an octopus book before, but what it is a metaphor for motherhood.
Yes, yes. So the life cycle of the common octopus is difficult. The female octopus works really hard to make it to adulthood in a difficult world, and very soon after reproducing, she enters senescence, and she stops feeding herself in order to protect her eggs for a long part of her life, and then she just wastes away. And I think this image of the perfectly self-sacrificing mother is it's a Loch Ness monster that we can torture ourselves with.
Yes.
And this is a book about trying to broaden the definition of what a good mother looks like.
I love it. Okay, we have some questions.
Yes.
Let's get to Paige.
Well, I have to tell you that we really loved your book. It was engaging, it moved us, and it was driven by such animated characters. So we were really curious. We know that you went to the University of Edinburgh. We were wondering if you based any of the characters on people that you knew at the University of Edinburgh.
Oh, thanks, Paige. So my friends who have read it now that it's out will say that they can recognize bits of themselves. I would say the friendship between Penn and Alice was possible for me to write because of my friendship with my best friend, Monica. And I wanted to write about female friendship as the central love story of the book. And I think the way in which those two characters let each other grow and evolve and hope that the other will grow and evolve is inspiring and is a big that came from this friendship I have with my friend Monica. And then some of my friends from university as well, little details like the bedroom or, you know, stinky definitely come from
So sweet.
friends as well.
Linda, you have a question too.
Yes, your book so deeply touches on the roles of women of all ages, judgment, encouragement, you know, just the friendship. And while also creating a mystery, did one thing come first?
That's a good question.
So I would say the former is my context, of course, and is what motivates me to write. Expectations on women, impossible expectations on one hand, and then on the other hand, the friendships that allow us to really become the best version of ourselves. So that is so deeply within me. The mystery came in little bits. I found myself writing a letter to somebody called Lord Elliot Lennox, and I had no idea who this was. And I was obsessively writing and rewriting this letter, and it took shape bit by bit. Little sparks, little flashes of these, you know, eccentric British men would enter my mind, and I would just capture lines of dialogue on the page. And so that part was, I think the first part fueled the second part. It kind of entered into it because I'm a woman and I'm a mother and I have female friends, and you know, I think the context of all of that entered the mystery.
Well, the book is amazing. I'm sorry we didn't get to your question. I promised, but you'll have to come back. The book is incredible, and we didn't talk about how dreamy Sasha is, but if you're, you know, Valentine's is coming up. If you want to just daydream romance, get this book. Check out Emma's book. It is The Life Cycle of the Common Octopus. Go to your local indie bookstore or head to today.com/read with Jenna.